Hello there, people of the internet. So I figured I'd go ahead and I'd make this video basically to bestow my opinion. This is entirely an opinion-based video on what the best cartridge is for hunting purposes. The 303 British. Nah, it's not the 303 British. I'm sure that I got somebody though. Somebody is going down into the comments to angrily type onto why I picked the 303 British and I should not have. I'm sure I rustled some jimmies with that one. This isn't even a 303 rifle. It was just a fun tidbit. But no, I've had several occasions where I've had newer rifle owners ask me what the best rifle or the best caliber to get for hunting purposes is. Now me here in Florida, you're not gonna make many shots beyond like 200 yards absolute maximum. You know, depending on where you're at. If you're like on a road and it goes in miles in any direction, then yeah, you'd probably make some longer shots than 200 yards. But for the most part, hunting's gonna take place in thick jungle, like what you see right there. That's very common for hunting here in the state of Florida. And game doesn't get very big. Like the biggest thing you're gonna get is like boar. Yeah, those guys can get like 300 to 400 pounds. So boar, for what it's worth, boar is like the biggest thing that you're gonna find. But finding any legitimate game animals, they're not gonna be very big. Like 150-pound deer is like a massive deer here in the state of Florida. So take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. If you are like up in the Alaskan wilderness going after elk or moose or something like that, then maybe this is not the best choice for you. But I would say for the average hunter going after like medium to large game, like smallish large game, this right here would be a really good universal cartridge. And that is your 308, your 308 Winchester. Go ahead and save some time on the big reveal right there. The 308 Winchester is just a cartridge that is so ridiculously numerous and it has such a massive support behind it. Now, if you are a hardcore hunter or somebody who loves to divulge themselves into all different sorts of calibers and whatnot, then by all means you go ahead and you do that. This video is talking about the best cartridge for your average, everyday hunter who is not going to go on, you know, week-long trips or African safaris or anything like that. People like me who get off work early and go down to your local wildlife preservation area to do some hunting, your wildlife management area to do some hunting, and you know, you grab a rifle. In my particular case, I'm a military surplus collector, so I have a vast array of things to choose from. But your 308 will serve the purpose that it is supposed to serve, especially here in the state of Florida where you're not shooting beyond 200 yards. Once you start getting out to like 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, the 308 can do it, but there's better options out there. But your average shooter isn't going to be engaging any targets at that distance. 308, with it being adopted by not just our military, but many militaries around the world, surplus ammunition comes in regularly. It's not very expensive to run 308 ammunition. There's a massive variety of different kinds of ammunition out there. I've seen them as heavy as like 180 grain bullets. I've seen, in one particular case, 200 grain bullets, but that was one particular case. I've seen them as light as 100 grain bullets if you're not looking for a lot of recoil. There's a massive amount of 308 rifles out there. If a company is making rifles, bolt action rifles, odds are they're making one chambered in 308. It is such a ridiculously popular cartridge here in the United States. 30-06 is also a very popular cartridge, but it has grown to be way more expensive over the years. There's a lot of rifles chambered in 30-06, but it's not as cheap as it used to be. 30-06 can be more powerful depending on the load that you're rocking in comparison to 308, but they're incredibly similar cartridges, and your average shooter is not going to really notice a difference. Your 308 is also going to be a lot shorter and lighter weight to carry around than your 30-06. You can, like I said, get more power from a 30-06, but once you start pushing for more power, you're starting to look into no longer being your average hunter. For the most part, your average hunter is going to get anywhere from like 150 grain to 180 grain projectiles, unless they're going after something really big. Like I said, if you're living up north, then you might start pushing the 200 to 220 grain. 30-06, I've seen some 240 grain loadings in there. It all depends on what it is that you're going after, but for the most part, your average hunter is going to be using some sort of 150 to 180 grain projectile. Those are your most common projectiles for going after medium to large game in terms of 7.62 caliber projectiles. So in my humble opinion, bear in mind this is my opinion, I mean, yeah, there's definitely lighter recoiling rounds out there. There's rounds that do better jobs than 308. 308 was designed, what, 50, 60, 70 years ago at this point. Wow, yeah, it really has been that long. It was designed a long time ago, and there's just better technology, better powders, better everything whenever it comes to loading different projectiles. Your 6.5 cartridges, a lot of them do a lot better jobs than your 308. But the price points, 308, like I said, is incredibly inexpensive to get and shoot. There's a lot of variety and a lot of options. Your average hunter and your new hunter, etc., they are going to have such a field to play in, such a wide variety of stuff to check out whenever it comes to 308 ammunition, and they're going to be able to invest their time and effort and have a lot more fun for the same amount of money with 308 ammunition than you would with something like a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 243 or 270 or something like that. Something that does the 308's job very well, but not quite at the price point that 308 manages to do it. You see what I'm saying here? I don't think 308 is ever going to really lose its popularity, at least not within our lifetime. Seeing as 30-06 has been around for like 120 years now, and it's still one of the most popular cartridges here in the United States. If it wasn't for the price point, that would probably be what I would pick as the best cartridge, just because there's such a massive variety and following for 30-06. But that price point, we have so much 308 ammunition here in the United States, and it's being surplused out by the millions of rounds. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a stroke here. It's being surplused out by the millions of rounds because of the military units that are using it all across the world, not just here in the United States. Typically, your military cartridges are very popular among the civilian ownership. I think that has to do just with the people that were in the militaries that enjoy using them and the very cheap surplus that comes out. If the US did not adopt the 308 caliber cartridge, I'm not even sure if it would still be around, in all honesty. But guess what? 308 was adopted, and as a result, today it is extremely plentiful. There's a massive following behind 308, and you can do a lot with a 308. Your military ball round is going to be running a 150 grain projectile, and whenever 308/7.62 NATO, I'm using those terms interchangeably here, whenever that was invented, it was invented with the idea of having a round that is ballistically very similar to the 30-06, but in a much shorter, lighter, handier package, which is why even to this day 308 150 grain projectiles are incredibly similar in terms of ballistics to your 30-06. The 308 is literally just a shortened 30-06 with different propellants and whatnot to give it a better ballistic, what am I trying to say here? Give it a better increase in velocity. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Give it a better increase in velocity. It's just a new kind of propellant that was used in terms of the 308/7.62 NATO above the 30-06. If the 30-06 would use a propellant like that, I wonder what kind of speeds you could achieve with it. You'd probably get like a really high pressure round though. At this point, this is just me rambling on. And me rambling on is one of the things that I love doing on this YouTube channel. I'll come up with ideas and things like that. I do not think that I have a rifle that could withstand 30-06 with a much more powerful propellant inside of it. I don't know. That might be something that I explore later in the future. I would need a very beefy action though. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below. If you have a better pick for a for what would potentially be the best go-to cartridge for your average hunter. This is not a video talking about the best cartridge for every hunter. This is a video talking about the best cartridge for your average everyday Joe Blow hunter, not the die-hard hunter, not the hunter that has every caliber out there, not the hunter who knows every history on every obscure unknown cartridge that has, you know, existed for 4 years then fallen out of favor. This is not a video for people like that. This is a video for the average Joe Blow who has a hunting rifle, maybe an AR-15, and a shotgun in his house. He runs 20 rounds through the hunting rifle every year just to make sure it's still zeroed. And he'll go hunting and spend another like 5 to 10 rounds pulling in game. This right here is a really good cartridge if you are that kind of guy. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, let me know what y'all's thoughts are down below. If you have a better option on what the average hunter should be rocking in terms of his cartridge choice, by all means, I'm all ears. I could absolutely understand a 30-06. Like I said, the only reason I didn't pick that is just because of pricing availability. 30-06 is not nearly as predominant as in terms of availability as the 308 is nowadays. So just one of those things to bear in mind. That being said, subscribe to the channel if you feel like watching more of this kind of stuff. Like the video if you like the video. Description down below has a link to all sorts of different stuff. Go ahead and go check that out. My phone's ringing, vibrating like hell in my pocket. I'm gonna go ahead and see what that's about. I'm pretty sure I heard a horn in that direction as well, so I might have some company here. I'm gonna go see what's going on. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.